Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's our evening Shabbat class. We're closing out the Sabbath, the 18th of November, 2023. And I'll be reading some chapters out of First Chronicles pertaining to Solomon. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel, check out our videos. We have a lot of videos. Can make dots for you, those people that are seeking the truth. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And for those that want to support the channel, we got a cash app at the bottom of the screen. Okay. And with that being said, I was going to give you our hours of operation. On Tuesday night, we have an advanced Bible study for everybody that wants to join. You know, that's from 8 to 10 Central Time on YouTube. Then we have reading through the Tanakh. When we read out of the books of the Tanakh, and some of our other books, the Apocrypha and Jasher and Enoch. We read out of those books. Then we have Women's Night, Women's Advanced Bible Study on Thursday nights, 8 to 10 Central Time. We have Men's Bible Study on Clubhouse. It's a non-Messianic room, non-Messianic conversation. And it's at 8 to 10 Central Time on Friday nights. Then we come back for the Shabbat, and we have 2 Shabbat classes. One on at 10 o'clock in the morning is our morning Shabbat class, and then we close out the Sabbath at 6 o'clock for about an hour in the evening on the Shabbat. So with that being said, for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. And by that I mean we deal with the Tanakh, which is the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah, 35 books of the Old Testament. We don't subscribe to the New Testament, nor the God in the New Testament, nor Peter, Paul, John, none of those. They don't apply to us as Hebrew Israelites in these last days. Okay, so with that being said, I want to say shalom and welcome to the channel. Welcome to our evening Shabbat class. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, evening Shabbat prayer. We're going to do Psalms, deal with some current events. We'll do a little need to know information, and we'll open it up for some Q&A, comments, or dialogue. Then we'll go into the reading out of the book of First Chronicles. Okay? So this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay? Oh Lord, we pray to the Lord our God. We make our confessions, O Lord, the great and dreadful God, keeping covenant and mercy to them that love thee, to them that keep thy commandments. O Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of face as it is this day, to the men of Judah, to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and in all Israel that are near and that are far off, through all the countries where thou hast driven us, because of our trespass that we have trespassed against thee. O Lord, hear this prayer, and cause thy face to shine upon thy sanctuary and thy people for your sake. O Lord, open thine eyes and incline thy ears to hear, and behold our condition. O Lord, hear. O Lord, forgive. O Lord, hearken and do. Defer not, for thy own sake. O my Lord, for thy people and your name, we need you desperately at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay. So with that being said, I'll read the Psalms. Okay. I'm going to read Psalm 21. It's a praise for victory. You know, it's a Psalm of David. The king shall joy in thy strength, O Lord, and in thy salvation. How greatly shall he rejoice. Thou hast given him his heart's desire, and is not withholding the request of his lips, Selah. For thou preventest him with the blessings of goodness. Thou settest a crown of pure gold on his head. He asked life of thee, and thou gave it him, even length of days forever and ever. His glory is great in thy salvation. Honor and majesty hast thou laid upon him. For thou hast made him most blessed forever. Thou hast made him exceedingly glad with thy countenance. For the king trusted in the Lord. Excuse me. The king trusted in the Lord, and through the mercy of the Most High, he shall not be moved. Thine hand shall find out all thine enemies. Thy right hand shall find out those that hate thee. Thou shalt make them as a fiery oven in the time of thine anger. The Lord shall swallow them up in his wrath, and the fire shall devour them. Their fruit shall thou destroy from the earth, and their seed from among the children of men. For they intended evil against thee. They imagined the mischief device which they are not able to perform. Therefore shalt thou make them turn their backs, and thou shalt make ready thine arrows upon the strings against the face of them. Be thou exalted, O Lord, in thine own strength, and so will we sing and praise thy power. That was Psalm 21. Okay, anybody have any comments on it? Okay, so I want to shine light on something that said back at verse 1, Psalm 21, verse 1. The king shall joy in thy strength, O Lord, and in thy salvation. How greatly shall he rejoice. Thou hast given him his heart's desire, and is not withholding the request of his lips. Selah. For thou prevented him with the good blessings of goodness. Thou set the crown of pure gold upon his head. He asked life of thee, and thou gave it to him, even the length of days, forever and ever. His glory is great, and the salvation and honor and majesty has thou laid upon him. So because of all this, let's go to a situation with David. You know, let me see. And okay. Give me a minute. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so this is when David brought the ark in to Jerusalem. Okay. 2 Samuel 6 and verse 12. And it was told David, saying, the Lord have blessed the house of Obed. Remember what Psalm just said, 21, that he blessing David. But David didn't put the ark in this other guy's house, Obed's house. So now the blessing is on Obed. The Lord have blessed the house of Obed and all the pertains unto him because of the ark of God. So David went and brought up the ark of God from the house of Obed into the city of David with gladness. Right? Go back to the Psalm. And it was so that when they bore the ark of the Lord and had 6 paces, he sacrificed oxen and fattened. And David danced before, here you go, David danced before the Lord with all his might. And David was girded with a linen ephod. So David and all his house of Israel brought the ark of the Lord with shouting and with sounds of trumpet. And the ark of the Lord came into the city of David. Michelle, Saul's daughter, looked through the window, right? Because David's wife. Michelle's daughter looked through the window and saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord, and she despised him in her heart. See that? See, and they brought in the ark of the Lord and set it in its place in the midst of the tabernacle that David had pitched for it. And David offered burnt offerings, peace offerings before the Lord. And as soon as David had made an end of offering burnt offerings, peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of the Lord of hosts. and he dealt among all the people, even among the whole multitude of Israel, as well as the women as the men, to everyone a cake of bread and a good piece of flesh and a flagon. That's a big ass cup of wine. So all the people departed, everyone to his side. So that's what he talked about when David rejoiced. He understood all that. He understood the blessings and most. He understood the Lord and his role in his life. So you can give a damn about what everybody else say. He rejoiced and dancing before the Lord. So notice right here the story we talked about the other day when we read out of Ruth that she told Naomi told Ruth, wait till he finished eating and drinking. And we see right here, David gave everybody, men and women, a flagon of wine, a cake, and they rejoiced. Okay? Is that something? Okay, so nobody had no comments. We'll go to some current events. Okay?
October 7th, Palestinian resistance group Hamas launched a series of coordinated attacks on Israel. In response, Netanyahu and his far-right government promised to bring an end to Hamas once and for all, regardless if thousands of innocent Palestinians become victims of Israeli rage. Though it has received unwavering support from its Western allies, the United States and the EU, most of the key nations in the global south have took a more sober stance and have urged Israel to end its relentless attacks on Gaza. And one of the nations which have been extremely critical of Israel's actions is South Africa, a nation that fully understands the harsh reality of being subjugated by foreign occupiers, hence its pro-Palestinian position. However, there's a little more to the story than that, and in this video, we'll uncover the deeper roots of why the current South African government will probably never support Israel. I have been reproached that I'm not discriminating against the Jews as Jews. Now, let me say frankly that I admit that it is so. Those were the words of the Afrikaner nationalist Daniel Francois Malan, who, when he took power in 1948, introduced the shameful apartheid system to South Africa. In the years leading up to World War II, elements within the South African government exhibited sympathy and collaborations with the Nazi regime. This collaboration was exemplified by figures such as Hendrik Verwoerd, the editor of the anti-Semitic newspaper Die Transvaal, who accused Jews of controlling the economy. The anti-Semitic sentiment found its roots in South Africa's earlier history, where Jewish prominence during the Kimberley Diamond Rush in the 1860s had triggered suspicions and conspiracies. Moreover, the African Secret Society, Rotherham, which counted influential figures like the
So you see what he said back in South Africa, way back in the day, the diamond mines and all that. There was a truckload of Jews there getting all of it. Go back to when Jacob received the blessing. Then Esau cried out and asked Isaac, "Is that not a blessing for me, Father?" And then Isaac said, "Yeah, I got one for you. You're gonna live in the fat places of the earth. Diamond mine, South Africa, one of them. But you're gonna live there and you're gonna obtain all of your wealth through the sword." Okay? Like I said, 13 colonies, that was them.
And future Prime Minister John Vorster, among his members, developed ties with the Nazis. Vorster himself had been interned during the war for his Nazi sympathies. The Afrikaner nationalism that fueled apartheid also fostered deep-seated prejudices echoing the anti-Semitic sentiments prevalent in Nazi Germany. The Jewish community, already marginalized and haunted by the memory of the Holocaust, was understandably on edge. However, the apartheid regime, led by Malan, was soon enough toned down the anti-Jewish rhetoric. Why? Simple. The white South African population needed all the numbers, even if it was Jewish. It wouldn't be long before
I'll
the
tell you
newest
that.
South African Jews not only found
South
security
African Jews.
under the new regime, but also grew comfortable with it.
Edomites.
Some even saw parallels between Israel's own challenges and the resurgence of Afrikaner nationalism in South Africa. After the turmoil of World War II and the Holocaust, the establishment of Israel emerged as a beacon of hope, promising a homeland and sanctuary for the Jewish people worldwide. At the same time, the Israeli government initiated a diplomatic mission actively reaching out to African nations in pursuit of international recognition. Yet, as Israel aimed for recognition and solidarity, the political landscape underwent significant changes. Initially, Israel's stance was critical of the apartheid regime, aligning itself with the global condemnation of racial segregation. However, the tides turned drastically after the 1973 Yom Kippur War, leading to a rupture in ties between Israel and numerous African states. As these nations severed their connections with Israel, the Israeli government found itself increasingly isolated on the global stage. In this isolation, Israel sought refuge in an unexpected quarter, apartheid-era South Africa. The visit of South African Prime Minister John Vorster to Israel in 1976 marked a crucial moment in the relationship between the two nations. Despite Vorster's long past as a Nazi sympathizer, Israel, under Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, extended a warm reception, overlooking Vorster's questionable history to strengthen its strategic alliance. As Western countries imposed sanctions on South Africa due to its apartheid policies, the regime sought alternative means of acquiring weapons to maintain its military strength. The ever-ambitious Israel had the technological know-how but lacked the funds, and with the financial backing of South Africa, Israel would soon become a military powerhouse. In turn, South Africa, their biggest client, will have access to advanced weaponry. A particularly interesting aspect of the Israel-South Africa alliance unfolded in the realm of nuclear development. Allegedly, Israel played a crucial role in aiding South Africa's clandestine nuclear program. Israel's involvement went beyond mere consultation. Secret documents reveal that Israel even offered to sell nuclear warheads to South Africa, which of course they denied. At the heart of the alliance between Israel and apartheid-era South Africa was a shared narrative of being white minorities surrounded by hostile darker-skinned neighbors. This notion of being isolated enclaves of civilization amidst a sea of perceived barbarism forged a peculiar bond between the two nations. Both Israel and South Africa justified their policies by positioning themselves as upholders of Western values in regions they saw as threateningly different. Israel, grappling with the Arab-Israeli conflict, portrayed itself as a lone democracy in a hostile Arab world, justifying its military actions as necessary for survival. And South Africa's apartheid regime used a similar argument, contending that the white minority needed to protect their interests and culture against overwhelming Black African forces and communism. However, this sense of kinship would eventually come to an end. In the late 1980s, Israel underwent a significant policy shift regarding South Africa's apartheid regime. The Israeli government, under increasing global pressure, altered its stance from supporting the white minority government to engaging with anti-apartheid forces. With the collapse of apartheid, Israel now faced the challenge of redefining its relationship with post-apartheid South Africa. Amidst these changes, the ruling party in South Africa, the African National Congress, has maintained a strong pro-Palestinian position. The ANC, having emerged from decades of anti-apartheid struggle, drew parallels between their fight for freedom and the Palestinian struggle against Israeli occupation. The party's leaders, many of whom had experienced oppression firsthand, empathized with the Palestinian cause, viewing it through the lens of their own liberation history. And when Israel was granted observer status in the African Union in 2021, the South African government responded by saying the decision is even more shocking in a year in which the oppressed people of Palestine were hounded by destructive bombardments and continued illegal settlements of their land.
Okay. Any comments on that? Now, who knew that? That South Africa and Israel were connected at the hip at one time. We abandoned. Okay.
So it's going to, talk about the realization of being a quote unquote whitewashed, black girl, right? And we didn't talk about that because that conversation is always, to me, an interesting one. But let's go roll it.
There's nothing worse than a whitewashed black girl realizing all the racism in the world who's also in a friend group with billion black women. There is this like nowhere's feeling because when it hits you hard. And every weird little interaction that you just justified as being rude, turning out to be racism, makes you question your whole existence.
So people like her, or maybe some guys that could be like her, was usually raised in environments where there was a lot of, folks. And, their parents done well for themselves. It's usually that situation. So they move to certain neighborhoods. And in these neighborhoods, they don't have a whole lot of black people, maybe. And all their friends they go to school with is the folks. And so they, befriend them or whatever. But we know that anti-black racism is taught in the household. We know it's passed down like an inheritance. And a lot of that, racism, especially at that level where you're kind of dealing with people who love money, is very passive aggressive. It's very nuanced. That's why when I wrote my book, Passive Aggressive Racism, I'm trying to teach you how to see it, right? Because that in your face racism, anybody can see that. But it's the passive aggressive racism that is, it gets you so confused about a whole lot of things. So you have a girl like that, or a guy, they've been raised in those environments. They don't really, the normal, when I say the normal, things that black people do in our culture, they don't do. You don't listen to the music. They may not eat food. They, may listen to what more the folks listen to or hang around that, right? But yet, even from what I know about those people are still dealing with the internal struggle because, yes, they be around the environment, but at the end of the day, they're black. And they have to deal with that eventually. And what she's talking about is basically you having to deal with that because the same so-called friends end up letting you know real quick, hey, you're not one of us now. So stay in your place. Now, the one thing I don't like in our community is when we do see somebody like this sister or brother, maybe a Carlton type, right? A lot of times because we feel that black people should be a certain way, a lot of times we reject them. Oh, you call them white, you call them whatever different derogatory names. I don't think we should do that. I think black people, it's great for us to be diverse in our thoughts, diverse in what we listen to, diverse in what we eat. I think that's good because we can always learn from somebody else, right? Staying in your bubble, staying in a homogenous society, I think that doesn't expand you as a person. It just doesn't. So I really think that you should embrace that sister. You should embrace that brother. As long as they're not out here selling out, that's the only time I'm gonna reject you because you got people that so-called fit the stereotype of what a black person is, and they're selling this out every day. So look at a lot of these black politicians, right? They're not the so-called whitewashed politicians, yet look at how they've been selling us out. So maybe that sister or that brother could be really, sticking up and fighting for the community. They just maybe don't feel like listening to certain music. They listen to something else, which is fine by me. I have no problem with that. I don't like the rejection of people in the community outside of they doing evil things or they're selling us out. If they're different, and it's okay. It's okay. So you brothers and sisters who are different, I'm gonna tell you, listen, I'm your brother. I accept you. Maybe others have not accepted you, and you know what? I'm gonna apologize for them because they wasn't really rejecting you. They're just rejecting what they've been taught, right? And they've been taught that black people got to sound a certain way, act a certain way, listen to a certain kind of music, dance a certain way. We just have been taught that, and that's not right. I don't think it's right. I think we're all different, and that's good. We need to embrace differences. So, I don't want you to have any kind of ill will towards your own people. Because all at the end of the day, Mecca and them, they not going to accept you. You're not.
Okay. Any comments on that? Okay. Got some need to know information right here.
The article is a revised version of a paper presented at the conference, Jews and Judaism in Black Africa and its Diasporas, which was held at the School of African and Oriental Studies, University of London, October 30 and 31st, 2010. And this article was written by Derek Lang, a German anthropologist, on the basis of comparative studies between the dynastic tradition of the Oyo Yoruba and ancient Near Eastern history. The present article argues that the Yoruba tradition of provenance, claiming immigration from the Near East, are basically correct. According to Oyo Yoruba tradition, the ancestral Yoruba saw the Assyrian conquest of the Israelite kingdom from the 9th and the 8th century BC from the perspective of the Israelites. After the fall of Samaria in 722 BC, they were deported to eastern Syria and adopted the ruling Assyrian kings as their own. According to the present opinion, the Yoruba are a local origin, but this opinion reflects the great influence of post-colonialism on African historiography, rather than the sober text-critical research. It involves the fallacious dismissal of major traditions of provenance suggesting an origin of the ancestral Yoruba in the Near East. In fact, before the rise of academic African historiography in connection with the independence of African states around 1960, scholars relied more directly on the available traditions of Yoruba origin, and they did some comparative research between Yoruba, ancient Mediterranean, and Israelite cultures. On the basis of this evidence, they suggested that the Yoruba immigrated from far away, either from Phoenicia, the Mediterranean world, Egypt, or Nubia. If any of these suppositions could be shown to be true and present opinion to be ideologically biased, it would mean that a culture of the ancient world survived in sub-Saharan Africa, which in the area of origin was superseded by subsequent sweeping developments such as Hellenization, Christianization, and Islamization. In the context of a general reevaluation of the ancient history of the Central Sudan, it appears that the theory of a migration of the ancestral Yoruba from Mesopotamia is in line with the history of their northern neighbors in the Niger-Chad region. This theory does not postulate a massive migration of people from the Near East at an undetermined moment in time, but repercussions from the fall of the Assyrian Empire and the subsequent defeat of the Egypto-Assyrian army in 605 BC. The Yorubas as the lost tribes of Israel. Contrary to other African people, such also the neighboring Igbos in southwestern Nigeria, the Yoruba never claimed an Israelite identity. Although several authors pointed out the existence of Israelite customs among the Yoruba, they saw them as a side effect of Israelite influences and not as the results of a direct cultural transfer through migration from the northern kingdom of Israel. More recently, re-examination of the Oyo dynastic tradition in combination with the comparison of cultural traits led to the conclusion that direct links must have existed between the northern Israelites and the Yoruba. From a comparative analysis of Oyo dynastic tradition in ancient Near Eastern history, it appears that the Israelites migrated to West Africa subsequently to the fall of the Assyrian Empire, and that their descendants survive as the core people of the present-day Oyo Yoruba. Indeed, Oyo tradition reveals that the ancestral Yoruba were mainly composed of Israelites who, in the course of their history, became influenced by Assyrian views of past events. From Babylon to Timbuktu, the history of the ancient black races, including the Black Hebrews, by Rudolph R. Windsor. Rudolph Windsor was born in Long Branch, New Jersey. After living in a number of Jersey communities, his family settled in Philadelphia, where he attended community college, studying psychology and political science, Gratz College, where he majored in Hebrew and Aramaic studies, and Temple University, where he majored in Middle Eastern studies. There are Black Jews in southern Nigeria who are called the Imo Yod Koim, or strange people, by the native Africans, but these Black Jews themselves by Hebrew name, B'nai Ephraim, or sons of Ephraim. These Jews claim that their ancestors immigrated from Morocco, a fact which Godby says is supported by their language, a mixture of Maghrib, Arabic, and local Negro speech. Thus, Abu, father, has become Yaba. Mother, Hebrew, is Ima. Nevertheless, most of their language is similar to the Black Yorubas around them. The assertion of these Yoruba Jews is that their ancestors were driven from locality to locality by Muslim persecution. They did not find rest even when they arrived at Timbuktu. Surely the prophecy has been fulfilled. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. Before Dr. Godby published his book, The Lost Tribes of Myth, Rabbi Matthew organized the Hebrew congregation in 1918 and proclaimed that Black people of the United States and the West Indies are the original Black Hebrews. There are hundreds of thousands of Black African Hebrews scattered throughout the United States, not only in the urban areas, but also in the rural communities of this nation. With the revelation of ample historical evidence, the authenticities of these Black Hebrews can no longer be questioned. According to biblical prophecy, the Black Hebrews were supposed to have gone into slavery and captivity. Thus, we read the prophet Jeremiah saying, Judah is gone into captivity because of affliction. And
notice, you're going to Jeremiah, as I was telling you about.
Because of great servitude, she dwelleth among the heathen. She findeth no rest. All her persecutors overtook her between the straits. Prophecy is similar to history in one respect. That is, it repeats itself. Duality in prophecy has been recognized by many scholars. As the historical evidence indicate, the Black Hebrews were snatched from the west coast of Africa and sold into captivity. Jeremiah again says, For lo, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will bring again the captivity of my people, Israel and Judah, saith the Lord, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it.
Okay, any comments on that? Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to open it up for some questions, comments. Anybody got any questions from last night or this morning or last week you want to talk about?
Shalom, everyone. I just think that you know, a lot of things are coming more to the light, and people are understanding the scriptures a whole lot better. Watching a couple of videos today, and you know, people were saying that that the Jews that's over there in the land now, they were never in captivity, right? They were never in slavery. They were not on the transatlantic slave ships. So I just think right now with this war going on, it just really opened up a lot of people's eyes to actually who the true Israelites are.
Right. But at least to search out things.
Right.
They,
And that's what
they
a lot of people are
Christian,
doing.
right.
Hmm.
Christianity got them. No, I'm not dealing with that. I'm not trying to hear that. Jesus is just that. They trying to do no research, but now they're looking at what's happening and it ain't lining up, and they're looking like fools. So they have no other choice but to go do the research.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what's going on. Like, so based on what you just said, this is what I mean by being lost in the dark. You don't want to be lost in the dark. So you said the people that's over there are not the real Jews, right? I mean Matthew, right? Check this out. I mean, like I said, you're not gonna see this unless you seek for the truth. Or most I send somebody to you. Okay. I'm in Matthew right quick. Okay. I think it's chapter 9. Mm, no, back in the back. Okay. Somebody might know where it says. It's the story when Jesus told them that he was Abraham was, I was. Anybody know what it said? The day that Abraham met him, he rejoiced. In John, I believe. Maybe in John. You won't find it.
Look at John chapter 8, maybe. John.
Yeah, that's what it says. Chapter 8. Yeah, right. So he says, yeah. So I'm starting at verse 48. These are so-called the Pharisees. With the people that's in Israel now, saying that that's their forefathers. So they returning from 70 AD. The Jews was there. They returned. So it says, and this during the time of Jesus. So verse 48. Then answered the Jews and said unto him, Jesus, say we not well that thou art a Samaritan. We already know the Samaritans are the king of Syria brought them there. There wasn't no Israelites, right? Samaritans, and has a devil. Jesus answered, I have not a devil, but I honor my Father, and ye do dishonor me. And I seek not my own glory. There is one that seeketh and judgeth. Verily, verily, I say unto you, if a man keep my sayings, he shall never see death. Then said the Jews unto him, now we know that thou hast a devil. Abraham is dead, and the prophets. And thou sayest, if a man keep my sayings, he shall never taste death. Then he says, art thou greater than our father Abraham, which is dead, and the prophets are dead, whom makest thou thyself? And Jesus answered, if I honor myself, and my honor is nothing, it is my Father that honored me, of whom I say that he is your God. Yet I have not known him, but I know him. So look, yet ye have not known him, but I know him. And if ye shall say, I know him, I shall be a liar, like unto you, but I know him, and keep his sayings. The father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it and was glad. That's Genesis 18. We know that's Michael, right? Then said the Jews unto him, thou art not 50 years old, and hast seen Abraham? And Jesus said unto them, verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am. Then took they up stones to cast at him, but Jesus hid himself, and went out of the temple, going through the midst of them, and passed on. So anyway, let me see, I'm missing them. Okay, let me get it. Yeah, here you go. I didn't start further. I didn't go further back. This is Abraham, true descendants. Jesus talking. Most of it's in red. Then said Jesus to the old Jews, which believed on him. If ye continue in my words, then are ye my disciples, indeed. And ye shall know that the truth and the truth shall set you free. They answered him, we be Abraham's seed. Check it out. We be Abraham's seed, right? And never were in bondage to any man. How saith thou ye shall be made free? So anybody see a problem with that? Let me read it again.
Yes.
Okay, what you got?
Where you were read in verse 33. We
Right.
be Abraham's seeds, and we were never in bondage to any man.
Okay.
Hold on, I lost my. How sayest thou, ye shall be made free? Right.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
he's trying to say none of Abraham's seeds have never been in bondage, right?
Right.
Right. But then, in don't quote me, Brother Leonard, Leviticus, I think it is.
Right.
Let me go. Is where I'm thinking he's getting that from.
Okay.
Leviticus 25 is where
Yeah.
he is 25 and 40, 42, 44. Well, I'll start with 42. For they are my servants which I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. They shall not be sold as bondmen. Thou shalt not rule over him with rigor, but shall fear thy God. Both thy bondmen and thy bondmaids, which thou shalt have, shall be of the heathen that are round about you. Of them shall ye buy bondmen and bondmaids. So how can they say Abraham's seeds have never been in bondage?
Right. So
Right?
the yeah. The eyesore is, didn't they just come out of Egypt?
Yes.
So this ain't no Israelites. Then
Right.
you know right there, this ain't no Israelites. Look what he says.
Right.
31. Then said Jesus unto those Jews. See, Jews which believe on him. If ye continue in my words, then are ye disciples indeed, and ye know, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Then they turn around. These these are supposed to be the princes of Israel, in the Sanhedrin and all that. They answered him, we be Abraham's seed, and were never in bondage in any man. They just come out of Egypt.
They just come right.
You got this right here. You know? Crazy.
They want to say they Abraham's seed, but they ain't never been in bondage. So, right.
After the Egyptian captivity. But you ain't never been in, and so he's telling you right here that they ain't Israelite, real Israelite. See that?
Yes.
Now we never been in bondage to any man. Can't flip that. Come on. Ain't that something? Yeah. So anyway, yeah, with that being said, play this little video, then I will start reading out the Chronicles. Starting to get ugly over there.
The ongoing conflict in Gaza has been a source of global concern and debate for decades. However, recent developments have added a new layer of complexity to the situation, with Saudi Arabia and Russia issuing stern warnings to the United States regarding its support for Israel in the region. This diplomatic clash raises questions about the balance of power in the Middle East, the role of major players like the US, Saudi Arabia, and Russia, and the potential consequences for the people of Gaza. In this essay, we will delve into the intricacies of this warning, exploring the historical context, geopolitical dynamics, and the implications of Saudi Arabia and Russia's calls for the U.S. to intervene and stop Israel's actions in Gaza. To fully understand the current warnings issued by Saudi Arabia and Russia, it is essential to examine the historical context of the Gaza conflict. The origins of this conflict can be traced back to the late 1940s with the establishment of the State of Israel. This event led to a displacement of Palestinian Arabs, creating a deep-rooted resentment.
Guys, do your daughter a favor this year by getting her a unique
A complex web of territorial disputes. Gaza, a small strip of land along the Mediterranean coast, has been a focal point of tension in the region. Since the 1967 Six-Day War, Israel has maintained control over Gaza, leading to frequent clashes with Palestinian groups, most notably Hamas. These confrontations have resulted in significant loss of life and property on both sides, with Gaza's civilian population often bearing the brunt of the violence. Saudi Arabia and Russia, despite their vastly different geographical and cultural backgrounds, share a common interest in the Gaza conflict, which prompts their warnings to the United States. Let's delve into their respective motivations and interests in this matter. For Saudi Arabia, the Palestinian cause has long been a symbol of Arab unity and solidarity. The kingdom sees itself as a protector of Muslim holy sites and a supporter of the Palestinian people. Saudi leaders view the Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories as a grave injustice and a threat to regional stability. Consequently, they have been advocating for a peaceful resolution to the conflict that would grant Palestinians their rights and establish a viable Palestinian state. On the other hand, Russia's interests in the Gaza conflict are more complex. Moscow has historically maintained diplomatic ties with both Israel and various Palestinian factions, including the Palestinian Authority led by President Mahmoud Abbas and the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip. Russia's involvement in the Middle East has increased significantly in recent years, as it seeks to assert itself as a major player in the region. By issuing warnings to the U.S. concerning Israel's actions in Gaza, Russia aims to strengthen its position as a mediator in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and as a counterbalance to American influence in the Middle East. The United States has been a long-standing ally of Israel and has provided significant military, financial, and political support to the Israeli government. This support has been a source of contention in the region, as many nations, including Saudi Arabia and Russia, view it as one-sided and detrimental to the peace process. In recent years, the U.S. government, under various administrations, has taken steps that further aligned it with Israeli interests. These actions include recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital, brokering agreements between Israel and Arab states, and maintaining a strong military partnership with Israel. While the U.S. has consistently expressed support for a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, its policies and actions have often been perceived as favoring Israel. Against this backdrop, Saudi Arabia and Russia's warnings to the United States to stop Israel in Gaza now come as a significant diplomatic development. These warnings reflect growing frustration and concern among these countries about the ongoing violence and instability in the region, and they challenge the U.S.'s role as the primary mediator in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Saudi Arabia's warning to the United States is driven by its desire to assert its influence in the region, protect the rights of Palestinians, and maintain its leadership position within the Arab world. The Saudi government has repeatedly called for a two-state solution, where Israel and Palestine exist side by side, with East Jerusalem as the capital of the Palestinian state. The kingdom views the U.S.'s unwavering support for Israel as a major obstacle to achieving this goal. Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has been vocal about his concerns regarding the Gaza conflict.
Okay. Any comments on that? So, like I said, the tension is growing and growing. The more every day passes by, and Netanyahu and these Israelis continue to bombard Gaza, spread. Any comments? Okay, I'm gonna read a couple of chapters out of First Chronicles, and then we'll close out. Okay, in First Chronicles. Okay, chapter 1. Okay, let's see if I'm on the right page. Okay, let's see if it's, yeah, it was Second Chronicles. My bad. Second Chronicles, chapter 1 says, and Solomon, the son of David, was strengthened in his kingdom, and the Lord his God was with him and magnified him exceedingly. And Solomon spake unto all Israel, to the captains of thousands and of hundreds, and to the judges, and unto every governor in all Israel, the chief of the fathers. So Solomon and all the congregation with him went to the high places that was at Gibeon, for there was there the tabernacle of the congregation of God, which Solomon, servant of God, had made in the wilderness. But the ark of God had David brought up from Kirath Jearim to the place which David had prepared for it, for he had pitched a tent for it in Jerusalem. Moreover, the brazen altar that Bezalel, the son of Uriah, the son of had made, he put before the tabernacle of the Lord, and Solomon had a congregation sought unto it. And Solomon went up there to the brazen altar before the Lord, which was at the tabernacle of the congregation, and offered 1,000 burnt offerings upon it. And that night did God appear unto Solomon, and said unto him, ask what I shall give thee. Solomon said unto God, thou hast showed great mercy unto David my father, and hast made me to reign in his stead. Now, Lord God, let thy promise unto David my father be established, for thou hast made me king over a people like the dust of the earth in a multitude. Give me now wisdom and knowledge, that I may go out and come in before this people. For who can judge this thy people that is so great? And God said unto Solomon, because this was in thine heart, and thou hast not asked for riches, wealth, or honor, nor the life of thine enemies, neither yet has asked long life, but hast asked wisdom and knowledge for thyself, that thou mayest judge my people, over whom I have made thee king. Wisdom and knowledge is granted unto thee, and I will give thee riches and wealth and honor, such as none of the kings have had that have been before thee, neither shall there any after thee have the like. Then Solomon came from his journey to the high place that was at Gibeon to Jerusalem, and from before the tabernacle of the congregation, and he reigned over Israel. And Solomon gathered chariots and horsemen, and he had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen, which he placed in the chariot cities and with the kings of Jerusalem. And the king made silver and gold at Jerusalem as plenteous as stone, and cedar trees made he as the sycamore tree that are in the vale for abundance. And Solomon had horses brought out of Egypt, linen yarn. The king's merchants received the linen yarn at a price, and they fetched up and brought forth out of Egypt a chariot for 600 shekels of silver, and a horse for 150. So brought they out horses for all the kings, of the Hittites, and for the kings of Assyria by their means. So that was chapter 1. Okay. Read chapter 2. Solomon determined to build a house for the name of the Lord, and a house for his kingdom. And Solomon told out 310,000 men to bear burdens, and 400,000 to hew in the mountains, and 3,600 to oversee them. And Solomon went to Hiram, the king of Tyre, saying, as thou didst deal with David my father, and didst send him cedar to build him a house to dwell therein, even so deal with me. And behold, I build a house to the name of the Lord my God, to dedicate it to him, and to burn before him sweet incense, and for the continual showbread, and for the burnt offering morning and evening, on the Sabbath, and on the new moons, and on the solemn feast of the Lord our God. This is an ordinance forever to Israel. And a house which I built is great, for great is our God, above all gods. But who is able to build him a house, seeing the heavens and the heavens of heaven cannot contain him? Who am I then, that I should build him a house, save only to burn sacrifices before him? Send me now, therefore, a man cunning to work in gold, and in silver, and in brass, and in iron, and in purple, and in crimson, and blue, and that can skill to grave with the cunning men that are with me in Judah and in Jerusalem, whom David my father did provide. Send me also cedar trees, fir trees, all algum trees out of the Lebanon, for I know that thy servants can skill to cut the timber in Lebanon, and behold, my servant shall be with thy servant, even to prepare me timber in abundance for the house which I am about to build shall be wonderful, wonderful great. And behold, I will give to thy servants the hewers that cut timber 20,000 measures of beaten wheat, and 20,000 measures of barley, and 20,000 baths of wine, and 20,000 baths of oil. Uh, then Hiram the king of Tyre answered in writings which he sent to Solomon, because the Lord hath loved his people, he hath made thee king over them. Hiram said, moreover, blessed be the Lord God of Israel, that made heaven and earth, who have given to David, the king, the wise son, endowed with prudence and understanding, that might build a house for the Lord, and a house for his kingdom. And now I have sent a cunning man, endowed with understanding, of Hiram my father, and the son of a woman of the daughters of Dan. And his father was a man of Tyre, skillful to work in gold, and in silver, in brass, and in iron, in stone, timber, in purple, and blue, and in fine linen, and in crimson, also to grave any manner of gravings, and to find out every device which shall be put to him with a cunning, with thy cunning men, and with the cunning men of my Lord David, thy father. Now therefore the wheat and the barley, the oil and the wine which my Lord hath spoken of, let him send unto his servants, and we will cut wood out of Lebanon, as much as thou shalt need, and we will bring it to thee in floats by the sea of Joppa, and thou shalt carry it up to Jerusalem. And Solomon numbered all the strangers that were in the land of Israel after the numbering wherewith David's father had numbered them, and they were found 150,000 and 300 and 3,000 and 600. And he set 70,000 of them to be barrels of burdens, and 80,000 to be hewers in the mountains, and 3,600 overseers to set the people to work. Okay, so that was chapter 2. Any questions, comments so far, or read one more chapter?
Shalom. The house that is being built, um, uh, in the time, I mean, he's building this house for what reason?
That's the temple, the
Oh,
house
the
of the Lord.
temple.
That's
Oh,
the
okay.
temple, and his house, king's house. He building his house and king's. He building the Lord's house, which is the temple, and his house, king's house.
Now, should he have the same things like they had before in the temple? The altar with the cups and um, all the other things for um, the sacrificial thing? Or are they not doing that?
Yeah, this the first temple. Solomon built it wasn't a temple before that. Solomon built the first one.
Oh, okay. Yes, sir. David's
David
son.
gave and David gave him the blueprint for everything that had to be built, which came from Moses, because Moses had it in the tent, the tabernacle of the tent, and then all they did was moved all that to the temple when Solomon built
Okay. So at this time, they didn't lose none of the cups and everything that goes to it, right?
it. Once he built it, they moved everything to the temple.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. So yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna go back up, chapter 2, verse 5. And the house which I build is great, for great is our God above all God. That's the Lord's house. But who is able to build him a house, seeing the heavens and the heavens of heaven cannot contain him? Who am I that I should build him a house, save only burn sacrifice before him? Send me now therefore, a man cunning in works in gold and in silver and brass and in iron and in purple. So he need this man to for the cherubim and all this, and for the dishes and all that. This guy doing all that, he's assisting in it. David, if you go back and remember with Moses, uh, they put a spirit on certain men to do the same thing when they made all the vessels in the temple. So that's what Solomon said. David need bring us a cunning man from Tyre to work along with the cunning men of David to build a house. Okay. Okay. So let me chapter 3. Solomon begins the temple. Then Solomon began to build the house of the Lord at Jerusalem in Mount Moriah, where the Lord appeared unto David his father in the place that David had prepared in the threshing floor for Ornan the Jebusite. And he began to build it the second day of the second month in the 4th year of his reign. Now there was a thing when Solomon was instructed for the building of the house of God. The length by cubits after the first measure was 60 cubits, and the breadth 20 cubits. And the porch that was in the front of the house, the length of it was according to the breadth of the house, 20 cubits, and the height was the 120, and he overlaid it within with pure gold. That's what these men, cunning men, for. The overlaid is gold. And the greater house he sealed with fir trees, which were overlaid with fine gold, and set thereupon palm trees and chains. And he garnished the house with precious stones for beauty, and the gold was gold of Peravim. He overlaid also the house, beams, the posts, the walls thereof, and the doors thereof with gold, engraved engraved cherubim on the walls. And he made the most holy house. The length well as according to the breadth of the house, 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 20 cubits. And he overlaid it with fine gold, amounting to 600 talents. And the weight of the nails was 50 cubits of gold. And he overlaid the upper chambers with gold. And in the most holy house, he made, that's the Holy of Holies, he made 2 cherubim of image work and overlaid them with gold. And the wings of the cherubim were 20 cubits long. One wing of one cherubim was 5 cubits, reaching to the wall of the house, and the other wing was likewise 5 cubits, reaching to the other cherubim. And one wing of the other cherubim was 5 cubits, reaching to the wall of the house, and the other wing was 5 cubits also, joining to the wing of the other cherub. The wings of these cherubs spread themselves forth 20 cubits, and they stood on their feet, and their faces were inward. And he made the veil of the blue and purple and crimson and fine linen and wrought cherubim therein. Also he made before the house 2 pillars of 30 and 5 cubits height, and the captors were on top of each of them was 5 cubits. And he made chains as in the oracle, and he put them on the heads of the pillars, and made 100 pomegranates and put them on the chains. And he reared up the pillars before the temple, one on the right hand and the other on the left. And he called the name of the one on the right Joktan, and the name of the other Boaz. Okay, that was chapter 3. Any comments?
Well, they didn't say how long, but it has seemed like it would be a long time to make that build those buildings. And it,
Right. Do you see how many men they had?
yes, sir.
And then you got to understand they got all those skills from Egypt. They built all the cities. They built all the treasure cities in Egypt.
So those craftsmen were very skilled
Yeah,
about it. So
yeah.
they
Very skilled.
used to
Right.
it. Okay.
And it had been passed down to them from their forefathers from in Egypt. Those skills. And that's another thing. That's what Nebuchadnezzar came for. When he came, he said he took all the skilled men, took them to Babylon to help him build his kingdom up. Okay. Somebody had something?
Yes, sir. I was just going to say where you were reading that in verse 14 about the
Right.
skilled craftsmen and the workers. It was, the son of a woman of the daughters of Dan, and his father was a man of Tyre, right? Skillful to work in gold and in silver and brass and iron and stone and in timber, in purple, in blue, and in fine linen.
Exactly.
So, yes, very skillful.
So what's that telling you? Cain descendants. Didn't Hazael show them how to do all that?
Right, yes.
And then go to Tyre. And who's the prince? Who's running Tyre? Lucifer. And there's some?
Wow.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And I put up a picture of it, and the walls are very high. The temple is very tall. The way they have it is very beautiful. It was a lot of people, a lot of work. And then the
Exactly.
colors, like you said, Michelle, this probably was very vibrant, very attractive.
Right.
Yes.
So you already know how it looked when he said it was overlaid with gold. Everything was overlaid with gold. Everything. Can you imagine building a house, your house, and everything in the house overlaid with gold?
Oh, wow, that would be something. And the fact that they're there where they're getting the gold from. So is it still in Africa, or how, this
Well,
gold?
that's the whole point that I was saying before was when we leave here, it's beyond a shadow of a doubt what we're going to leave with. Because when they was in Egypt, the gold they overlay in the house with, they spoiled Egyptians with. That's where the gold come from. And notice when they left Babylon, Cyrus did the same thing, gave them a whole bunch of gold. Because they're going to need it where they're going.
Yes, sir.
So they spoiled the Egyptians. The gold they got from the Egyptians, they used to build a temple with. If you remember when they got to the mountain, when Moses up on the mountain talking to the Lord of hosts, they took some of that gold and built a calf with it.
Yes, sir. The golden calf. Yes, sir. So, yes, sir. So with the reparations, they're saying they're going to give all this money, which basically, if it would be in gold coins or whatever, so the gold, or how would that be from
So
leaving
my
here?
thing, right, my thing understanding the Lord of hosts and all that. If you go back, the same gold that's in over here, it was the same gold. It just been melted down. And they that's what Hitler was doing. He was robbing all those countries for their gold, and all they do is melt it down, then put they they in symbols on. They put their signs and symbols on. And that's all they did in America. This gold they got from the Americans, the Edomites stole and all that. They brought here and they melted it down and put it in individual gold bars. Think about that. They in individual gold bars.
Yes, sir. That's what they said was at the bottom of the when those twin towers went down, the gold bars were down at ground zero.
Right. But like I said, the guy, it was Edomites that all of a sudden they bought the building and they owned it and they put insurance on it. Right after that, the towers got tore down. So this guy made what, trillions of dollars off of that insurance policy. So you think he left the gold down at the bottom of there? No.
No, sir.
Okay. Yeah. He knew what was going to happen, so there wasn't no gold there. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else got anything before we go?
Shalom. I was just going to mention when Sister Cheryl was speaking on the temple, right, of how big it was. Like you can imagine how big it was, right? And it was speaking of the wings of the cherub reaching from one wall to the other, right? So you can imagine, how big that building was, right?
Right.
And that was in verse 11 and 12. Where you were reading that, yes. In verse 12, and now one wing of the other cherub was 5 cubits, reaching to the wall of the house. And the other wing was 5 cubits, also joining to the wing of the other cherub. So you can imagine how big they were.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, that
what's
caught my attention.
Right. So why do you think it's 2 cherubs?
I don't know.
What's in the garden?
Oh, okay. Yes.
Is that so?
Yes. Oh,
All right.
wow. Okay. Golden nugget.
Okay. Is that so?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is.
And then on top of that, they actually life size. Okay. That's just me.
Okay. Right.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
All right. Is that something? So,
Whoa.
Yeah.
So the eyes of now, my thoughts are being that the temple was built and destroyed, and what happened to those cherubims.
Right. So that's another point. Like I said, when you read the scriptures right and you got the right information, you got to you find yourself, you just severed yourself from all that ideology and all that ignorancy that's over in the New Testament. So we know that the Israelites left in when Antioch Epiphanes came, right?
Yes, sir.
So let's look at it. I'm in First Maccabees. Okay. Look what it say. It says so here you go. It says, and when the rule appeared to Antiochus to be established, he dead and gone now. He dead and gone. Okay. It says, and when the rule appeared to Antiochus to be established, he conceived the idea of becoming king of Egypt, so that he might reign over 2 kingdoms. So he entered Egypt with a strong force and chariots and elephants and a cavalry of great fleet. And he made war on Ptolemy, king of Egypt. And Ptolemy turned and fled before him. And many fell wounded. And they captured the walled cities in the land of Egypt. And he plundered the land of Egypt. Now here you go. After subduing Egypt in the 100, this is why you hear me saying 143. In the 143rd year, Antiochus turned back, came up against Israel. Here you go. Entered into Jerusalem with a strong force. And in his arrogance, he went into the sanctuary. We already know what's in the sanctuary, right? Moses tell you that, all the stuff they built, all the cups and all that, right? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So he So in his arrogance, he went into the sanctuary, took the gold altar, the lampstand with the lamps, all the furniture. That's including the cherubim, ain't it?
Oh, yes, sir. You're right.
Yes.
The table of presentation bread, the cups, all this stuff overlaid with gold, and the gold censers and the curtains, the crowns, the gold ornamentations on the front of the temple. He stripped it all off, and he took his silver and his gold and the choice dishes, and he took the secret treasures which he found. He took them all and went back to his country. He massacred the people and he spoke with great arrogance. So, like I said, where is all this at during the time of 70 AD? Antiochus took it.
Yes, sir. So, but they won't mention, so we don't have the Maccabees in the
No.
66 books. So it's skipped over where.
Right. Exactly. They don't want you to know this. So right here again, like just like we just saw when he said that we never been in bondage. They're sticking their foot in their mouth. So this ain't Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar took all the gold, did the same thing. But when Zerubbabel came back, he gave it all to Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel brought it back. And like I said, Daniel 9:25 is Zerubbabel. Daniel 9:26 is Antiochus. It's the prince that shall come, shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. That's what Daniel was telling us. You can't bring Daniel to the day. He ain't talking about the day. So Daniel told you they're going to come back, but the prince that's going to come is going to destroy the city and the sanctuary and cause abomination and make it desolate. That's what Antiochus did. What we're reading right here. That Israel came to an end. That's when the Edomites came in. So they don't have all this stuff in the temple. It's a fluke. Okay? And that song?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I have one more question. In back over here in chapter 3 in Second Chronicles, right? Verse 13. The wings of these cherubims, right, spread themselves forth 20 cubits, and they stood on their feet, and their faces were inward. So what is the meaning of that, or the purpose of that? Because I know also in Exodus it mentions, them being, faced each other.
Right.
It's in
They looking, if you go back to the two anointed ones, the king and the high priest, they go in the temple once a year in the holy, like it was saying right there, the holy place. That's the holy of holies. That's where the cherubim at. So in reason they're looking at each other, the mercy seat is right there. That's where the Lord of hosts come down in. So they're looking at him.
okay.
The mercy seat is right there. They wings stretched out with the mercy seat in between them.
Right,
So once
that's
a
what I
year,
was trying to think of. Yes, sir.
once a year, the Lord of hosts come down on that mercy seat in the holy of holies with the high priest and the king. Once a year, Day of Atonement.
Okay, yes. Exodus 25. That's what I was looking for. Yes, the mercy seat.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I want to know if any of the workers or any one of them were giants or not.
More than likely, yeah. I mean, you see all the timber they got to move and all the stone, hewers of stone, they got to be mighty men. Some of them got to be.
Yes,
They
sir.
they moving all that weight and all that material. So they got to have, yeah. Is there something?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody good?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom. And I'll see everybody Tuesday for our advanced Bible study at 8 o'clock. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom, everyone.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.